going by a little faster.
Yeah. Yeah, I got blanked in the Champions League this week, but that's okay. It happens.
Yeah, I went one and three, and
Yeah.
got a
Yeah.
Leverkusen ticket that's pretty dead. So
Yeah.
to advance, maybe they'll do a madness.
Hang on one second. Let me mute this. Yeah. Okay. Think all right, we are live right now. Let me just get this out on the socials here.
Yeah, I sent out a tweet.
Yeah. Okay, let me go. Hang on. I need to go to YouTube Studio. All right, hang on. And then we'll get started here. I'm sure nobody's in here right now, but
It is
uh
what it is.
that's okay. The problem I have with this thing, which uh, sucks, is if I ever schedule one of these, my mic, it won't let me do my mic when I go
Mm.
in because like I schedule it and then my mic's unplugged from my laptop. So it's like, so I don't know. I'm probably just too dumb to actually figure out how to fix that. Um, okay, let's go to YouTube Studio and content live. Where's my live video? Should be live. Where is it? Okay. Oh, that's what I need to do. Should be live. Hang on. Hmm. Why is that not working? Hmm. At least I think. Let's try this again. Content. Why is it not popping up? Hmm. Okay. Hang on. We'll just go to regular YouTube then. Create. All right. For some reason, it won't tell me that I'm live, which is kind of weird. Hmm. You know what? I think I might. Hang on. Actually, let me just. One second. All right. Okay. We'll just do it this way. This is okay. All right. I'm just going to tweet this out real quick, and then we'll be good to go. We'll just do it this way. Okay. Okay, we got a couple people in here, looks like. I actually don't know how many people we have in here. That's okay. Okay. We'll wait. 24. Oh, we got 24 people in here. Okay. Well, that's probably good enough to get started then. Hello, everybody. Welcome. It's been a while since I've done one of these live streams. I mean, honestly, really what happened is just kind of life got in the way for the last month, but I'm back here with, of course, my good friend Anthony DeMundo, who is joining us from across the pond in it looks like a bathroom in London. So, first off, Anthony, how are you doing? And how first of all, how's London?
Yeah, so I'm actually in the Spotify office, which I got a full tour of today, which has been exciting. Shout out to Patrice who gave me the tour. He's one of our Ringer UK people. So it looks like I'm in a bathroom because there's like these
Yeah.
spray things here.
Yeah.
There's a whiteboard in this office room, so that's why
Gotcha.
it looks like uh, I'm in like a bathroom, and there's like weird green tile here. But yeah, London's been great. Got to a bunch of footy. I think I'm here to inspire a Spurs Cup run in the
Mm,
Europa League. I'll be at
yeah.
the second leg next week against Alkmaar, but really love it here. If anybody ever gets a chance to come over, and it's a pretty incredible place. So
Oh yeah.
probably my favorite city in the world, and enjoying it.
Yeah, I lived there for 3 months, a long time ago, over 10 years ago now. But I gotta say, I agree with you. It's one of my favorite cities in the entire world that I've been. I gotta say, I mean, I love it, but I mean, Maui for me always is my number
Well,
one place. That's
that's
the,
fair.
I mean, that's my goal is when I
Never been
retire.
to Maui.
Yeah, I'm gonna retire to Maui, hopefully one of these days. All right, so here's what we're gonna do today. We're obviously gonna go through, all 10 Premier League matches, hit some stuff in Bundesliga, La Liga, and Serie A. But first, I think Anthony brought this up, and I think it's a good idea to look at. We got a couple pretty decent title races in Spain and Italy, so I think we're gonna hit those first. I mean, Spain is incredible. It's gonna be so fun coming down to the end because we had a point where Atletico had won what 15 straight matches and had firmly put themselves in like atop the table. Then they falter for a couple weeks. Real Madrid loses to Real Betis, and now suddenly Barcelona is your favorite at -130. I ran my simulations today, which I will post on my Substack, hopefully either today or tomorrow. Um, I have Barcelona about 46%, so that implies to about around +120. I have Real Madrid at +260, and then Atletico Madrid at +310. So it's really going to come down to the wire here, and obviously we have an El Clasico still left on the board. Um, Atletico still has to play Barcelona as well, so I would say Barcelona has probably a little bit more of the more difficult schedule. And honestly, Atleti down the stretch, once they get past that match against Barcelona, it actually kind of opens up for them. So I don't know. This could honestly go a lot of different ways, Anthony. And I'm leaning towards maybe Atletico can like pull off a stunner and just flip these two teams and take home their third La Liga title under Simeone.
Well, the one kind of piece of this is that Atletico is more likely than not going to go out of the Champions League
Yep.
next week. So that would help them. I still think that Barca's the best team at pretty much no point in the season uh, since the opening 10 or 12 matches have I had Real rated above Barca. And so even when Real had a little bit of a lead on Barca, this was 2 or 3 weeks ago before Real's had this tough stretch with one win in five. Uh, it always felt like Barca was going to be in the mix, but do you trust their defense? But at this point, like the defensive numbers for Barcelona this season, they've conceded the same number of goals as Real Madrid.
Mhm.
So whatever you want to attribute that to, around the edges, they've gotten away with, uh, the goalkeeper injury situation, right? Not really having Ter Stegen all
Yeah.
year. Uh, they've gotten enough from Pena and Chesney to make it work. Real Madrid's defense has taken a clear step back. A lot of the injuries contribute to that, but I still think that there's clear they're the best team. They have the most points. I'm not necessarily running to lay -130, but I think
Yeah.
this is now like in a situation where because they also get Real at home, that they're probably like should be the team that is expected to win this. I know they have the big Copa del Rey matches coming up with
Hmm.
Atletico, and then they'll play them in the league. But the rest of their schedule, looking at it now, Girona, Betis, some tricky matches, but both at home. Then Leganes, Mallorca, Valladolid, Espanyol. Like it's not a particularly tough schedule coming in for Barcelona. So I
Yeah.
think that they're going to win this. But again,
Yeah.
there's
It's
always the Champions League thing. Like if they make a run all the way, does that impact their league
yeah.
form?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is like Real Madrid does have actually, I would say, maybe the tougher schedule coming down the stretch because they have to travel away to Barcelona. They got to go away to Villarreal, who has been in incredible form. They still have Bilbao on their schedule, and Sociedad has obviously taken a step back, but they got them on the final day. Barcelona does have Bilbao on the final day, which should be a lot of fun if the title race is still in question. If Atletico can just stay right there. Again, Atletico has played Villarreal twice. They have played Athletic Bilbao twice, and they're going to have a home match against Barcelona after their match against Real Madrid, and they played Real Madrid twice. I mean, coming down the stretch for Atletico, it's Valladolid, Las Palmas, Vallecano, Alaves, Sociedad, Osasuna, Betis, and Girona. Like, it's a very favorable schedule. So if Atletico can just stay in this, I think that they have a real good shot, and they're going to be out of Copa del Rey more than likely. They're going to be out of Champions League more than likely, so they can just throw everything into La Liga. So it should be fascinating, honestly, and it's been one of the more fun La Liga title races we've had in a couple years.
Well, the thing is, and you mentioned Barcelona finishes with Villarreal, Athletic Bilbao, but because Spain's getting 5 teams this year, I kind of think
Yep.
the top 5 is kind of decided. So I don't know what we're actually going to get from those teams
Right.
come the end of the season. Like it could be an on the beach kind of situation where, Barca's playing opponents that are good on paper, but they don't care. And, maybe
Mhm.
they turn up and they want to help, Real Madrid or Atletico make this more of a race. But again, it just comes down to like, every match that they play, if you just pull expected goal difference this season, even if you strip out pens from the numbers, like Barca's a good like 2/10 of a goal
Yep.
better per match than Real and Atletico this season.
Yep.
Um, so
And
I
there
think
is a
that
clear
makes a pretty
top.
big difference.
Yeah, there is a clear top five in Spain right now. I mean, Betis has been had a little bit of resurgence, but uh,
Yeah.
the big three and then like Bilbao and Villarreal like are very clearly positioned in that top five. So that's a good point. We may we may not, have them trying at the end of it. But again, if if it's on the final day and Athletic Bilbao has a chance to ruin Barcelona's title hopes, I'm sure that they would love to be able to do that. All right, Serie A. Things have kind of taken a little bit of a twist, honestly. Here, I'll pull up the odds really quick for um, Inter Milan is now your favorite at about minus 138. Napoli is about close to 2 to 1. Atalanta is 9 to 1. Juventus is 10 to 1. Then everybody else is 100 to 1 or longer. Juventus, we've been mentioned this before, but Juventus has had a little bit of a resurgence and kind of gotten back into this Serie A title race. There were protests outside the stadium for Thiago Motta, which I mean, it's because they got knocked out of the Champions League in horrible fashion.
And the Coppa Italia, they lost
Yeah, and
to
the Coppa Italia to
Empoli.
Empoli. Yep.
Yeah, that was rough.
Yeah, it was rough. But hey, I mean, right before that, those two losses, they had beaten Inter and gotten back into this title race. And then they won back-to-back matches against Cagliari and Verona. They have a huge match at home against Atalanta this weekend. Then they go to Fiorentina after that. And the run-in for them towards the stretch, I mean, it's after Atalanta and Fiorentina, it's not that much of a resistance going in. Genoa, Roma, Lecce, Parma, Monza, Bologna, Lazio, Udinese, and Venezia. Inter was obviously the overwhelming favorite coming into it, but their schedule coming down the stretch, they have obviously the Champions League to go in. They have Coppa Italia semifinals against AC Milan, who they keep losing to for some reason every single time this season. They've got Roma, they've got Lazio. Like it's somewhat of a difficult schedule for Inter coming in here. And then you have Napoli, who got a last ditch goal from Bournemouth legend Philip Billing, which, if I'm being totally honest, I forgot that he even went to Napoli. And when he scored, I was like, wait, is that the guy from Bournemouth that I thought I? So that kind of shocked me when he scored. But do you think Inter has this wrapped up, or does Juventus? Napoli, or does your favorite Atalanta, who has kind of taken a dip, but also kind of turned things back towards the positive direction, at least from underlying perspective? I mean, do you think Inter walks away with this, or is there somebody that can spoil them?
Yeah, Atalanta's what, 9-1 right now?
Yeah,
I'm gonna put a little couple bucks on it.
I mean, tough. I mean, Juve and Inter and Fiorentina and Lazio, Bologna, Milan is their next stretch. So
Yep. That's why they're
it's
9-1.
it's not
Yeah.
easy.
The thing about it is Inter is across 2 competitions right now with this Champions League, and they're going to be in the quarterfinals. Took care of Feyenoord yesterday. So with them being in that Plus, you mentioned the Coppa Italia. That's going to be in there. They don't have. They're old, right? They're the oldest
Hmm.
team in Europe's top five leagues by average age in the squad of the players who play, and I think that could take its toll. And maybe you're starting to see it a little bit because they have not been as good in Serie A. They had a pretty frankly terrible performance against Napoli. They like you said, it ended up coming down late, but they got dominated in that game. And then you even go to like the Juve loss, the Fiorentina loss. Like they've had some real cracks here in the last month or so. Napoli, they sell Kvaratskhelia or loan him, and now they can't score goals. They
Hmm.
scored one goal in every game basically since they sold Kvaraddina, and that's not really a formula to win a league title. You need to get wins. So I don't really trust Napoli to score. I'm worried about
Hmm.
Inter's age. Juventus has had a nice run here, but I think we're kind of like at the top of what Juve is. They've just won, what, 5 or 6 in a row.
Hmm.
And so Atalanta is kind of the team for me. They're not in any other competitions. They got knocked out of the cups. 9-1, 3 point gap, and they get Inter at home in a week. So they win that, and like there isn't a gap. And I know their schedule's tough, like you said, at Juve, at Fiorentina, Lazio, Bologna, Milan. Like the next 6 matches are all against top half teams.
Hmm.
So I get the skepticism, but I'm willing to take a shot on them. I think the number's gotten a little too far now. And again, if they just win that one game, they're going to be
Yep.
right there. And I no longer trust Napoli to get margin. And I no longer trust Inter to be consistent across 3 competitions with their old team. That's kind of giving last dance vibes because they're trying to rotate and figure out what's best, but they're going to be playing Bayern in the quarterfinals. They'll be playing Milan multiple times. It's
Yep.
going to be a tough run in for them. So
Well, I just looked up I kind of have my simulations half done, at least for the teams that have, are in the title race. And I do have Atalanta right at about 6-1. So I would tend to agree with you. But this stretch is gonna be difficult for them. If they can get through the stretch with some decent points, if they can, you know, maybe get a result at Juventus and beat Inter at home, that will really put them up there. I have Inter about even money. So um, yeah, I would agree. Atalanta would be the one that I would go to for the Serie A title race. France is over. England,
is over.
is it over?
It's over.
Okay, well let's just go to the Premier League right now.
Yeah,
Um,
how are you going to make the case for Arsenal? They're 10 points back, even if they win the game in hand.
well,
And
I
Arsenal
don't know if you
can't score
saw.
goals.
Well,
I know they
let's
scored
start with
7 on
this.
Wednesday, but they can't
Yeah.
score goals. Tuesday.
Well, did you not watch on Tuesday?
Did you watch the games before that?
I've watched every game. Yeah.
They
Moreno as a
scored.
false nine is like the new tactical revolution that's going to take over the Premier League. So we just need Liverpool to, lose to Southampton.
Yeah,
Um,
they're so
and,
rattled
and
from
and just pick up a
yesterday's
win here
win.
against United, and then we'll be back. And suddenly it's like, oh, here comes Arsenal. Bukayo Saka's coming back soon. But in any case, let's just go right into it. Let's start with Arsenal. Sunday, 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time, 4:30 British Standard Time, right? Is that right? 3:30. It's some British summertime.
The clocks actually go up for you guys this weekend, right?
That's okay. That's too confusing. I'm not going to get into that.
So it's actually
Um,
only going to be 4 hours
4 hour
difference. So
difference
let me
from
see what
Eastern
time the
Time.
kickoff is. It's 4:30 on Sunday.
That's too confusing for me. Okay. Arsenal is, let me pull up the odds right here. I saw they were a minus 134 favorite last night. Let's see what they are right now. They are minus 134, still United 4-1, and the draw is at plus 240. If Leboff was on with us, he'd tell us to take United here. And he would say that there would be really no reason why other than just the number's too high. But I think there's a couple ways you can maybe play this. And I think the way that you're going, I'm gonna let you make your case first, and then I'll tell everybody how great Arsenal's offense is. But
Yeah.
I think the way you're going is probably the right way to go.
Well, it's complicated by the fact that United has not played Thursday yet as we record this, so
But
they're
they
going to play
scored like
Sociedad.
I looked it up last night. They've created like right at 2.9 expected goals in every single Europa League match. But they obviously haven't played anybody. So I don't know what the weird thing
They
is
had a
going.
really friendly schedule in the Europa League. It's
Yeah,
not
they
even about
have.
that. It's more about how they line up because
Yep.
United is at the point now where you know Sociedad is a far more important match than Arsenal is. There's nothing left for United to play for in the league. And I get that it's Arsenal at home and it's a big fixture and they should be up for it. But how do you not rotate some key attackers? Like, are we going to see, maybe benching Hoyland is a positive for the attack, but like, I can't imagine the plan, any smart plan would be to play Bruno Fernandes, Josh Zirkzee, Rasmus Hoyland, and Alejandro Garnacho all Thursday, Sunday, Thursday for all three matches. And I think if you're going to rest them, rest your better attackers, the match they're going to sit is going to be the Sunday one. So I think there's a chance that Arsenal doesn't face United's best attackers for the whole match. One. And then the other part of it is, great win for Arsenal. The market moved heavily off that win, about 20 cents, because they scored 7 on Tuesday. I didn't watch the second half, but I kind of still feel like that said more about PSV than it did about Arsenal, to be quite honest. It was a naive approach.
Oh, stop it. Come on.
Terrible box defending. Like the third goal especially was hilarious. And then, once it's 3-0, it's kind of over. But yeah, I just don't really think Arsenal, we should overreact to one Arsenal performance where they scored a bunch of goals, because we all watched them play Nottingham Forest, West Ham, and Newcastle before that, and they couldn't score. So, and Leicester for an hour and 10 minutes, they couldn't score or create anything. So I think that's much closer to this version of Arsenal. Maybe I'll be wrong, but under 2.5, I think Arsenal wins this like 1-0, 2-0. And I like under 2.5. I bet it this weekend.
You're forgetting one thing, Anthony.
Is somebody coming back?
Set pieces.
Set pieces. Yeah, that's a problem.
It's going to be a set piece.
Well, that's that. So they're going to get a set piece. They're going to score, and that'll be the game.
Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, I mean, like my Premier League notes article is on my Substack right now, where I just go into way more depth of that, and I also did a video. So if you want to listen to that, you can. But in any case, the way I was thinking about playing this, and I'm still waiting to make a decision. I don't really honestly like the price that much, but United not to score at plus 124 was kind of appealing to me. In the 2 meetings against Arsenal. Now, to be fair, the FA Cup second half, they got a red card. So obviously, the chances they created were, I think they had 5 or 6 shots and they scored on 2 of them. But over the course of those 2 matches, 0.49 expected goals between the two. And I think even if you watch the first meeting, the one at the Emirates, United was actually
like first match, right? Second match.
United was actually building up kind of successfully. But the problem with United is final third. They have nothing. There's just nothing there. And what tends to happen with United, if you watch them, and what's painful to watch about them, is they're not good enough building up against teams that can man-to-man press them really effectively. So they just end up having to send the ball long and send it over top of the press instead of just turning it over, right? And they have no target men who can win duels and can actually retain the ball and win second balls. Arsenal is one of the best teams in the world at winning second balls. One of the best teams in the world at winning those duels off of those long balls. So how is United going to do anything here? And like you said, if they rotate and they don't have Bruno Fernandes in there, what are they going to do? How are they going to create? I mean, Hoyland's been awful this season. And to be fair to him, he's getting no service, and he's also a transition striker, and they're not a transition team anymore. Xerxes has been playing as like a 10 when he's a 9.
I don't think Josh Zirkzee is a 9. I think we're going to end up with Josh Zirkzee being an 8-10. That's my prediction in 2 years.
He's still an in-between type guy who isn't providing any goal scoring. He's doing a decent job in like helping them build up. But again, they have nobody up top. And then their wingers can't beat anybody 1v1. And, one of the reasons why they signed Drogu is because they needed a fullback who could get forward and actually, provide something in their attack. That's why Amorim's Sporting was so good, is he had fullbacks who could get forward, and they just don't have that now, and Drogu's suspended. So it's going to be kind of the same old story over and over with United, and I find it hard to believe that they are actually going to create anything of value. They may score, but will be off a very low quality chance, and I think Arsenal really dominates this match out of possession. So if I were to go anywhere, I like your under 2.5, but I would be terrified of set pieces, Anthony. Terrified of them if I was.
They might get 1 or 2.
United.
I'm sure that maybe we run back the Gabriel Rice Odegaard parlay. Julian Timber,
Yeah,
anytime goal scorer, maybe.
Jurriën
I don't
Timber,
know.
he scored. He scored in the previous meeting. It was him and
Also
Saliba were the
scored
two
on
guys.
Wednesday. Tuesday. I
Yeah,
keep saying
scored on
Wednesday. He
Wednesday
scored on
too
Tuesday.
against
Yeah.
PSV. The PSV and Feyenoord have a big rivalry, right? I mean, they're in different cities, but
Yeah, they're
um,
two of the best teams in the Dutch
two
league.
of the best teams in the Netherlands. But yeah, okay. So I think we're kind of uh, in the same boat here. Is I mean, United. By the way, I was looking at it the other day from a mathematical. I have United, I think, under 63, 4 points for the as a season long point total.
That could probably be clinched
As
this
long
week,
as
right?
they just don't win out, I hit that.
I
So
like your chances.
so
Yeah.
we could wrap that up here on Sunday with 10 matches to spare. And also if Bournemouth wins, I'll hit Bournemouth over 46, I believe. So
You still,
let's
all the picks from we did a draft on the Ringer Soccer Show, and I think I had Bournemouth over and United under on my picks. I'm doing well there.
Yeah, I also have Brentford over, which is looking pretty good as well.
Yeah, I like them
Um,
this weekend.
I do too. Let's go to a top four clash. When I was doing the research, I was like, oh, kind of forgot. I was like, oh, this is actually like a really important match. Forest and City, 7:30 a.m. Eastern time, lunchtime kickoff, 12:30 British summer time. I asked my friend Sam, I was like, why is it called British summertime, even though it's, throughout the entire year? And he had no answer for me. Um, all right. City is minus 110, about a minus 110 favorite. Nottingham Forest is plus 290. The draw is at plus 270. I really don't have anything for this match. And I think the way you're going is probably the right way to go. I, the City defense has been getting better.
Marginally better.
It's not as
Yeah.
horrible as it was, and I think that they will be able to limit Forest's transition opportunities. I think you feel the same way.
Yeah, I actually think this is not a bad matchup for City. Obviously Forest have had pretty good transition numbers this year, but I don't really think Forest can touch City's buildup. I don't think Forest really wants to. I think they're going to be super passive. And I actually think this ends up kind of similar to City and Liverpool. And that sounds crazy to say, but just kind of how that game played out, where Liverpool didn't really do anything to stop the ball from getting to Savinho and Doku,
Hmm.
but they, trusted their back four. And, obviously Trent got dribbled by 106 times in that game, but, with the center backs and also, Forest fullbacks are much better in those 1v1 situations when it comes to defending. So I think they'll hold up better than Liverpool did there. And of course, Holland being in the lineup helps them, but I don't see this being a match that City runs away with, and I don't see this being a match that Forest has a ton of success attacking. I want to ask a question about Forest because stop me. I'm going to ask you a team, and you tell me like right now, would you take them or Forest on a neutral field?
Okay.
Man City,
Man City,
Chelsea,
Chelsea,
Bournemouth,
Bournemouth,
Newcastle,
Newcastle,
Fulham,
Fulham.
Crystal Palace,
I'd probably take Palace, honestly. Maybe I'm crazy.
Spurs, fully healthy, getting healthier now, like
First,
with the current
Spurs fully healthy
like Spurs with the team that they would put out this weekend potentially with Van de Ven,
this
Romero
weekend.
back, and Solanke. Yeah.
Probably Spurs.
Okay. Brighton.
It's the team that just lost 7-0 to Forest. Um,
That's probably where I would stop for what it's worth.
yeah,
Villa. My next one was going to be Villa.
I'd probably take Forest over Villa right now,
Okay.
honestly.
So you said Spurs, Palace, Fulham,
Yep.
Newcastle, Man City, Bournemouth, Chelsea, Arsenal, Liverpool. So that means that you had them. Quick little math here. 10th.
Well,
Feels about right.
I can pull up my Premier League power rankings to
And
you
I was
right
going to ask
now,
you
which
that
are
next.
available on my Substack. I'm pretty sure I have them 10th or 11th, one of those two. I can't remember. Um, nope, that's not the tab I wanted. I think, yeah, here it is. I have them. I have them ninth. I think I have, yeah, I have them ninth.
Probably have Spurs
I guess
lower.
I had them a touch above Fulham and a touch above
Okay.
Palace, but and Brighton was up there a little bit, although I don't really believe in Brighton right now, which we'll get to next. But yeah, the point is made is that they're just like they're drastically overperforming, and they're more than likely should be around a mid-table team.
Yeah, I agree. So in the other part of the funny thing is that City went to Spurs last week. I was there. It was a great time. Not a great performance from Tottenham, but City was around the same number.
Yep. So yeah, I mean that's the conundrum we have here. Yeah, so I mean I have City at like about minus 102 or minus 103, or no, actually, sorry, plus 110. So I mean you could make a case that maybe they're a little overvalued, but I think that, you know, I went back and looked at the previous meeting and I thought this was hilarious.
They blew him out.
City blew them out with a midfield of Gundogan, Jack Grealish, and Kevin De Bruyne.
Yeah.
And now they have Nico Gonzalez, Kovacic, and they can play whoever they want, as their number 10.
The
And
teams that have had success against City, like Press and City getting transition, they're teams that have actually like come out and play a little.
Mhm.
Like you can't treat City now like you did in the past
Yeah.
because you can punch them in the face now.
Hmm.
Before, if you tried that, they would just duck it and then you'd be knocked out. But now, like you can actually hit them and wound them. And so, like I think back to like some of the worst defensive games I've seen from City. And I'm not going to count like Real Madrid. The worst defensive games that City have played against, we'll say competent to above average teams. And I think of Aston Villa. I think of Brentford in that crazy 2-2 game they
Hmm.
played. And I even think of Crystal Palace a little. Forest is not, was not that team. So I really don't actually think this is a bad matchup for. If I had to, I'm getting at the point, which is that I bet under 3 minus 115. But if I had to bet a side in this game, I'd probably lay City.
Yeah. Last, for what it's worth, the last four Premier League matches for City, they've only allowed 3.5 expected goals. They only allowed one to Arsenal, zero point 0.5 to Newcastle, zero point 0.7 to Liverpool, and 1.3 to Tottenham. That's a difficult schedule.
And a
So
lot of the Tottenham was late. Yeah.
it was late. That's true.
Yeah.
But the Newcastle performance was the one that kind of stuck out to me. Like, oh, okay, maybe this actually is okay. And then obviously they got killed by Real
Yeah.
Madrid, who just fired balls up to the forwards and
It's
just
tough
let
to
them
play
keep.
from behind against Real Madrid when you're
Yeah,
City.
and they just were firing balls up to their front three guys and just letting them just go crazy.
Yeah.
All right, so that's Forest and City. Let's move on to Brighton and Fulham. Actually, kind of a pretty fun match on Saturday at
Yeah. Absolutely.
10 a.m. Eastern time.
I looked into
Definitely,
making the trip. That's how
yeah,
interested I was by this match.
definitely. Oh, Brighton. I mean, I mean, I know we've both been to Brighton, but beautiful city. Brighton is, I kind of was a little bit not shocked, but I was like, oh, that's a little high. Brighton's minus 110, Fulham's plus 290, draws plus 260. I think we're both in the same boat here. I like Fulham plus a half quite a bit, and I think that these two teams are actually pretty even.
I think Fulham's better, so maybe I should bet
Yeah.
them. My numbers say I should. I haven't yet, but yeah, I mean, this Brighton team I have been incredibly unimpressed by, especially defensively. I think Baleba's a great player. I think he's kind of holding up their team right now, but the difference in quality of these two defenses is massive. Um, where Fulham's a top 3 or 4 defense in the league this year by
Hmm.
every metric, and our
Yep.
guy Mark Stats had a good tweet about it the other day where he was talking about it's not just like the XG story, but it's their ability to disrupt buildup is so
Hmm.
much better. Uh, they've gotten a ton better with set piece defense. They're more press resistant than they've been in the past. Like this is a team that really has changed its identity. And, it's a lot of similar personnel, so it's always easy to be like, well, what's really happening here? But I kind of believe it, so I'm kind of with you
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, I think that well, the main story that this comes down to, and this is, I've been kind of really lukewarm on Brighton all season long because I think they only really can be successful playing one way, and that's just direct balls up to their forwards. Because if you go look through it, like I wrote this up. It's no coincidence that they've been on a little bit of a good run here when the opponents that they've played have been Chelsea twice, Southampton, Bournemouth, and Newcastle. What do all those teams have in common? They're all teams that are pressing high and man to man. And when you do that, you typically leave your back line 1v1, and that's really what Brighton wants to do. if you go back to when Nottingham Forest beat Brighton 7-0, what they did was, defensively at least, is they just sat in a low block and they played a back five and they just said, all right, you're not playing any direct balls behind us. Like, break us down. And Brighton
Yeah.
has yet to do that to really any low block this season. It's a major weakness of Herzler. They don't really, other than Danny Welbeck, they don't really have a target man in the middle. They can't really play through the middle. They're not really good at sending in crosses. And the thing with Fulham is, I, I had to like double check and make sure that this was correct. Fulham's allowed the second fewest box entries of anybody this
That's
season,
what I'm saying.
which is crazy. Like that's insane.
Sanderberga, Alex
Lukic,
Iwobi, some Lukic.
yeah,
Robinson's pretty aggressive at defending the left wing in terms of like,
yep,
making the box actions happen further up the pitch.
yeah. They defend
But
crosses well too. Like it's a very difficult team to break down, and I don't really see how Brighton's going to be able to do that. So, I mean, previous meeting Fulham beat them 3-1. It was
comfortably.
a
Yeah.
little fluky, but in any case, but I mean,
I think they were up early in that game. Like they dominated it
yeah.
though.
Yeah, but I mean, I just don't really see how they break down. And then Brighton, on the other hand, is by some, it depends on the model, but there are some models that have them number one in passes per defensive action. Like they're very aggressive with their high press. And Fulham, while they've been better in build up, they can still play direct. Now, the one thing that may be a little worrying is Brighton's been the best team at defending crosses this season in the Premier League, which we know
Yeah.
Fulham is basically just
Our guy Jedi.
just
I
a
bet him like
cross
every week.
machine. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love watching Anthony Robinson just bomb down the left side. It just every single time I just like you see him just running. Him and Kirkes are the two guys that I love just like watching just bomb down the left side and sending crosses. It's very fun to watch. But in any case, I like Fulham plus a half here. Minus 109 is available at Bet365. I think that's the best price. But
Pulling up the how good is what do I have on ML Smith Rowe this year? Yeah, not great. He's been okay.
he's been hurt for a period.
Yeah.
Don't you dare
He hasn't
badmouth him.
1790s though. It's not nothing. He's been
Yeah.
pretty mid
It's
in chance
also, I will
creation.
say this, Anthony, it's not a coincidence that Arsenal's B team is making this resurgence. That's how good Arsenal was back in the day. You just didn't know it.
What are you talking about back in the day? You talking about like 2 years ago?
Yeah, from like 2 years ago. Burnt
Ugh.
Leno, Iwobi, Smith Rowe, Reece
How's Eddie
Nelson hasn't really
Nketiah
played.
doing?
What?
You used to hype up Eddie Nketiah to me every week on our
He's
pod,
going
and
to
I used
score.
to
Well,
laugh.
let's. That's a great transition. Crystal Palace, Ipswich, because Eddie Nketiah is going to be leading the line on Saturday against Ipswich Town. Um, Crystal Palace minus 209 favorite, Ipswich 5 plus
Is that
525.
why
I
that
mean,
line is so short?
it shouldn't be because my
It's
guy
way
is going to
short.
be. It's very short, and I think we both like Crystal Palace here quite a
Best
bit.
team in
But
the league.
I'll let you go. Give your point, and then
I
I'll
tweeted
back it
this. I
up.
don't know if you saw my tweet the other day.
I didn't. What did you say?
Hold on, I'm looking at the yeah, that Mateta thing was crazy last week. So
26 stitches.
I know.
26. That's
Yeah,
bad.
it's pretty bad. Every time ESR gets going, he picks up a knock. Yeah, pretty much what happened. I don't think missing Adama matters all that much. Also, Ryan Sessegnon's been like weirdly good in midfield for them,
Yeah.
and providing way more attacking production. So I think Fulham will be okay. But as far as Palace goes, yeah. So I tweeted this the other day. Since the start of the new year, basically Palace are the best team in the league. It's you
Yep.
throw out penalties. It's Palace and Liverpool are like 1 and 1A. Adam Wharton comes back. They dominate Villa, dominate Millwall, and I know there was a red card. And I know that Millwall is just like an average championship team, but still dominate them. And you can't just throw out early season samples, but like it's easy to forget just how bad Palace was the first like month of the
hmm
season. And you strip that out, and like this is like a top 4 level team. You
hmm
could make you could convince me that they're playing at a top 6 level. That they've as Bournemouth has seen a little bit of a dip here. Maybe they're the new Bournemouth,
hmm
and taking their place as like the transition team who's elite at what they do, and maybe doesn't have a ton of versatility, but makes it work. And I went to the match Fulham Palace, and I mean, it was the worst Fulham game they played all year in
hmm
attack. And Palace was so good at getting out in transition and as they're getting on the ball, Munoz getting in the box. Like I think this Palace team is still getting caught up to. And yes, like losing Mateta hurts. Best goal scorer and Nketiah is, we'll see. Maybe he'll have a moment here, but this
Scored against
season,
Aston Villa at the
yeah,
end,
he's had.
garbage
Let's
time.
see, he's still getting 3.5 shots a game. I mean, he's only played
Yeah.
790s, but yeah, the shot numbers aren't terrible for him. So maybe Nketiah brings it through. But I laid Palace here. I love
Yep.
Palace. I think they're a rising team here coming down the stretch again, just like last year.
Well, not to toot my own horn, but for those who have subscribed to my Substack, I gave out when you said the new year, I gave out before the Chelsea match, Palace 16-1 for top half finish. And they have gone on a crazy run here. Now, I think the bigger point of this is
Still 6 points
how
back.
yeah, 6 points back now.
They could
Um
do it.
they're like 3-1 now, I think, to for
Yeah.
for top half finish.
Tottenham's
Um
on their heels.
I think the
They're pretty
bigger
good now.
point here is yeah, Tottenham, they're coming back.
Yeah,
The bigger point here is just how truly bad Ipswich is
that
offensively
too.
more than anything else. Ipswich, I think at times when you watch them, defensively they're okay when they sit in like a very compact 5-3-2 low block and they can
Okay is a relative term.
okay is irrelevant comparatively to what they were. Let's put it that way, right?
Yeah.
Comparatively to some of these horrible teams in the Premier League, right? Offensively, they have nothing. Omari Hutchinson's injured for this match. Connor Chaplin's injured. Samojic injured. And Ciso is injured. So what? They're just gonna like hope Liam Delap just like wins a 1v1 and just like draws a penalty or scores because that's all they do basically every single match.
Yeah.
I there's a lot of I wrote this up, but there's a lot of definition. There's an opta definition of big scoring chances. I like the definition, and I've used this forever. Is big scoring chance defined as a chance with a 0.35 xG rating or higher. That's what I've always used, and I've always kind of liked that. Not saying it's better than what any other definition. It's just kind of what I like. Ipswich has since November 30th has created four big scoring chances. Four. That's it. I mean, they are averaging 0.88 non-penalty expected goals since November 30th. And it just comes down to the problem that kind of the core problem from the beginning of the season is like they're not good enough to build out of the back. They're not set up to play very direct and like win those duels. Like Liam Delap's really the only target man you can play to. And they're not really good at winning second balls, and so they can't hold possession and they're just kind of stuck in this rut. And I don't really see a way of them getting out of it. Palace, the underrated thing about them is how much better they've gotten as a pressing team. I mean, they're up to top 5 or 6 in danger zone losses forced. Like that's crazy. You remember the Palace team that was like the really solid 5-3-2 low block at the beginning of the season that was like holding out some of the better teams. Well, now they've transitioned into this man-to-man press that is now turning opponents over and being very effective and allowing them to create those opportunities. Um, the question I think here is can they break down Ipswich's low block? And I think they can. Adam Wharton coming back, like you mentioned, is so crucial for them because now you have somebody in that 8 role who, other than Will Hughes, who is a ball carrier, who is somebody that can make those progressive passes and those dangerous passes and create that box midfield with Sar and Eze and now Nketiah. Nketiah has the ability to drop deep. So now, they might not get an overload through the middle, but at least they can get a 4v4 situation. And Eze and Sar, man, they are so good at making counter movements. One drops deep, one plays in behind. And it's so difficult to defend from a 1v1 situation. And that's why, see Mateta and all of them having all this success. So I agree with you. I don't think this Palace thing is a fluke. And I think that generally this will be a very, very good matchup for them. Ipswich defensively has been a little, like I said, a little bit better, but I don't know. We'll see. We lost Anthony for a second, so he'll be right back. But I'll move. I'll keep talking here, and we can move on to the next match. So that was Palace and Ipswich. I'm on Palace -1 at -133. Anthony is on Palace at -1.5. So yeah, I mean we can take a quick break and do maybe some futures talk while we wait for Anthony to come back. I was gonna look up and see what Palace was to finish in the top half. Right now Palace is at +350 to finish in the top half, and I think I have a little bit of value on them according to my simulations, which again I put out on Monday was that? Or yeah, I think it was Monday. Which I put out on Monday. I have Palace at, let's see here, about 2-1 to finish in the top half. I have them pretty even with Brentford right now. Again, the gap is about, let's see, what is the gap right now? In the Hang on one second. The gap for top half finish, which, if Aston Villa keeps losing, then, it's a 6 point gap right now. Aston Villa has Brentford over the weekend, which is a huge match for top half, and we'll get to that match in a second here. I'll wait and see if Anthony can come back or not. While we're waiting, does oh, Daniel Carr? I think I might need you, Daniel Carr. I think Anthony just dipped on me. Um, Anybody have any questions while we wait for Anthony to come back here? Any questions? We'll get questions in now, and then we'll kind of continue on here through it all. Let's see here. How about that Liverpool smash and grab yesterday? That was hilarious to watch. Additional thoughts on Europa League matches. I was looking through it and I didn't really have anything else. Um, what was I looking at? I was potentially looking at Rangers +1 against Fenerbahce. I think that Fenerbahce is a little bit overvalued, but again, Rangers is under new manager, Barry Ferguson, which is like the most Scottish name of all time. And if you look through some of their results against at least the underlying numbers against some of the better teams, they haven't been that great. So a little bit nervous. Should Kanate have been sent off yesterday? No. Who are you rooting for to Arsenal to play in the next round? It's a good question. I mean, probably Atletico, but also like how is Arsenal going to break Atletico down? That'd be something. Um, I'm rooting for Atletico. I mean, I have a soft spot for Diego Simeone, so I would prefer to play Atletico because their attack is a lot worse. I have a bad feeling that if Arsenal goes behind against Real Madrid, that they're not getting back into it. Um, who wins the FA Cup? Why not Crystal Palace? Why not? What's the? I'll be flat honest, everybody. I have not looked at the FA Cup draw, so this is going to be a live reveal right now, for me at least. I have not looked at the FA Cup draw. Obviously all the big teams are out of it. Oh, City's playing Bournemouth, so there you go. They're gonna get knocked out. Um, Palace is playing Fulham, who they just dominated in that match. Uh, I would say, yeah, Palace is probably the team that I would be looking at. Palace or Fulham would be the one too that I would look at. Whoever wins that match, essentially. I'll tell you what I'll do here. I'll try and get. Let's see. I will try and get simulations for the FA Cup out before those matches start. We also have an international break coming up. So for those who subscribe to the Substack, be on the lookout. If you've followed me from the Action Network, I have my international soccer rankings. They're going to be a big thing when I put them out on my Substack. So, I'm going to try to blow those up and get those moving in the right direction before the World Cup. But I'll put out how I do it and how I think they're better than the FIFA rankings right now. I've been doing them for about 2 years now, and they've been at least comparatively to if you followed me during the Euros and Copa America, they've been pretty successful comparatively to markets and futures and things of that nature. Obviously we have AFCON coming up in January, so that's gonna be a big one. But um, all right. Well, I think we're gonna move on here, and then whenever Anthony comes back, we'll we'll pop him in. But let's go to. I mean, this is gonna be a funny one. Liverpool and Southampton. Um, yeah. Okay. Here's the thing with Southampton, right? They suck. They do. They're the worst team in the Premier League. There's no doubt about that. and they keep pressing high in a man-to-man fashion. And Chelsea just pulled them all over the pitch in the previous meeting. And I think people can be critical of Ivan Juric and his approach with Southampton right now. But my question is, what is he supposed to do? Is he supposed to be like Ipswich, just like sit back and just like hope they can counterattack their way to getting out of the relegation zone? No. They're what, 13 points behind with 11 matches to go? Like they have to go for it. Like there's really no like it's just go for it or nothing, right? So the big here Anthony's back. Hang on. Okay. Anthony's back. Good. We just started Southampton and Liverpool, which should be a fun
All
match.
right, I'm
All
back.
right, he's back. Okay. We
I had to relocate. They needed my meeting room for an actual meeting of things that matter.
oh, this wasn't important enough to have the meeting room.
Apparently not.
Okay.
Unfortunate, but I'm good now. I
Yeah.
will not be bothered for the remainder. I'm in
Yeah.
a dark alley in
Um
the back of the office.
yeah. So I was just talking about Liverpool and Southampton, and I'll finish I'll regurgitate my thoughts here really quick, but um the thing with is I think people have been critical of Ivan Juric and his approach with Southampton because he's gone very aggressive, like high pressing man-to-man style. And my point is like, what is he supposed to do? Right? Like,
Yeah,
is he supposed to
it's the
just
old
sit
saying.
back and just like hope they can counterattack their way back out of the relegation zone? Like, no, they have no choice. So this match is like the worst possible one for them, right? Because we've seen Liverpool have these multiple ways of playing, of building up, but really where they're at their best is like playing using Salah and all their guys as like target men and like, those guys dropping deep and pulling guys out of position. Cole Palmer was just pulling Joe Rebo like all over the pitch against Chelsea, and it just creates so many gaps in behind. So that's what Liverpool's going to do. They're going to do it over and over and over again. And Southampton really has just no way of stopping it. But I think the bigger question, Anthony, is does Liverpool rotate here? Do they potentially say, okay, our match against PSG is more important. We have a big enough lead here at the top of the Premier League. Maybe Mo Salah gets a break.
No way.
Maybe Virgil van Dijk gets a break. Maybe Konate gets a break. No way.
They can rotate in the second half when they're up 2-0.
Yep, that's true. They could do that.
Mo Salah needs the record, and he wants the record. He's
Yep.
6 goals away from the record plus assists. They have 10 matches to do it. I think we'll see I think we may see, Salah only play an hour. We may only see, uh, maybe Darwin starts as opposed to Gakpo or something, or they mix up kind of Diaz's minutes. I don't know. There could be some rotation, but I don't think Salah sits. I don't think Van Dijk sits, and for that reason, like any other change is kind of marginal for Liverpool. Uh, maybe Curtis Jones comes in for McAllister
Yeah.
or something. There's different ways to do it, but I don't think it's going to be a wholesale change. They do have the cup final next weekend,
Yep.
but
That's what I'm saying,
yeah,
man.
I got nothing here. I'm not betting this.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not betting this either. I did show a little bit of value on Liverpool minus 2.5, but I don't really feel like laying that. The total's 4, which is fun, probably should be 4, with how bad Southampton has been. But yeah, I don't really have anything. If you want to lay Liverpool minus 2.5, I would advise you to maybe just wait until match time. We did get at one point this season a Liverpool minus 3 against Leicester.
And I would happily bet Southampton +3.
I think I might, I don't know if I'd do that, but in any case, hilarious match. And it should be a
Ended three
blowout.
one, right?
Yeah, it ended 3-1, but I mean, Leicester also could sit deep. I don't think Southampton can do that. Okay. Let's move on. This and I would say Tottenham and Bournemouth are the two most fun matches of the slate. 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 5:30 British time.
You got to stop doing the compare. It's going to be
Is it 4 or
4:30
5
again.
hours?
Well, on Saturday it is 5 hours. On Sunday it's only 4.
But I think this is a funny bit now of me trying to
This is
figure this out on the
Saturday.
fly.
So
Um,
Saturday it's 5:30 British time,
okay. See, I had it right. There you go.
and Sunday. What time is the kickoff? You guys, the games are 10 a.m. for you, right? Or no, 9 a.m.
Let's take a
Sunday.
look here. I'll take a look here.
Because I think
Sunday.
the Sunday games are an hour later than they normally would be
Yeah, they
for you
are.
guys.
9
For
9
us,
p.m.
obviously, it doesn't change.
9 p.m. 9 a.m.
Yeah,
Central
10
time,
a.m.
10 a.m. Eastern time
Eastern. Yeah.
for the Chelsea and Tottenham matches. Then United and Arsenal are at 11:30. Villa Brentford. This is real. This is a lot of fun,
Let
honestly,
the
and
bees
I
buzz.
think you agree. I think you agree that this is a pretty good matchup for Brentford.
Yeah, it's a great spot too. I mean, the Champions League hangover. So we've had Villa do this 8 times this year. I'm gonna read every result: 3-1 home win against Wolves, 0-0 United home, 1-1 Bournemouth home, 2-0 loss at Chelsea. Excuse me, 2-0 loss at Liverpool, 3-0 loss at Chelsea, 2-1 loss at Forest where they ran out of gas late, 1-1 home draw with West Ham, and 2-0 loss at Wolves. -2 expected goal difference in those 8 matches coming off of the Champions League. And I went back to last season, even you could find some pretty ugly performances. 4-0 loss to Spurs. They got bounced. I think there's another match in there. I think it was Palace. And then they did have a 2-0 win at Arsenal following
Oh
a
yeah. Oh
Conference
yeah.
League matchup, which I know you loved, appreciated especially. But yeah, so, Villa, Emery, the pattern of them being on the road, poor in this league, 17th this season in expected goal difference away from home. You add that to the Euro midweek. Brentford extra rest. Brentford playing better right now. Even though Villa's up 2 goals and like shouldn't really have a problem with Bruges in the second leg. Unfortunate, really. I thought Bruges was better for the first hour of that match.
Yeah.
But either way, this is I mean Brentford. I like chasing a Brentford -1.5 as well, not just
Yeah.
playing the money line.
I'm gonna go with both teams to score an over 2.5 here, which is like -150. I know it's a little bit pricey, but I did show a little bit of value on that. I I went back and watched the highlights from the first match between these two, and Villa won that match. I think it was 3-1. It ended up being. Um, Early on in that match, the story with Villa for most of Unai Emery's tenure is their build-up patterns are very predictable, but they have been successful against teams that aren't committed and aren't aggressive enough in the press. And Brentford at the time was one of those teams, and Villa just used their three-man, passing triangle combinations out wide, got the ball back centrally, and just exploited Brentford right through the middle. So for me, it really comes down to how effective can Brentford's press be? I thought Brentford's been kind of like an average pressing team when they've tried to press high. Like they haven't reached the heights of Palace or Everton or Bournemouth, like some of like those teams. So I think there is a way where Villa is able to play through Brentford, but Villa they don't want to play direct. Like they don't want to play balls over the top. It's like one way or the other. I looked this up the other day. They are averaging the fewest long ball attempts of anyone in the Premier League, which I thought was kind of crazy in some aspects. Um, so you watched against Bruges, there were times where they played a little bit, long from goal kicks. They weren't just like every single time we're going to try to build out. Um, so I think in some aspects they could have some success here. But the flip side is, I mean, what better team in the Premier League right now to take advantage of Villa's high line than Brentford? I mean, Brentford is one of the best teams at making runs off the back line of anybody, honestly, in the Premier League. Wissa, Sade, and Buemo. Brentford obviously has the ability to play direct. There's been a few times, Anthony, where I've watched Aston Villa where they've tried to press teams high, and boy, is it bad. It is really bad. They are not a good pressing team. They're dead last in turning opponents over in dangerous areas. Brentford's been getting better and better as the season's gone along with their build-up. And they obviously still have the ability to play very direct if they need to. So I think this is a perfect match for Brentford to play off of Villa's high line. So that's kind of why I like both teams scoring over 2.5. I think that both teams have pretty decent matchups here, and I would prefer to play this over like an over three situation because I think, obviously both offenses have a pretty decent matchup. So, so yeah, fun match. Hopefully, and this is a huge match for anybody who has a top half tickets as well on
Hmm.
Brentford because they're
Yeah.
4 points back from Villa. If they can win this match, they'll get within one, uh, which is great. So, great match. A fun match going to is
You
this
sure about
fun?
that?
Is this
Yeah, I
next
don't know
match
about that.
fun? Wolves and Everton. We get a nice 3 p.m. Eastern time kickoff, 8 p.m. Eastern time, British summertime, late night. So which we typically
Yeah.
don't get on weekends, which is kind of nice sometimes. But my friend Sam would always tell me these type of matches when it's on the weekend, you can't get a bus or the train back to wherever you're going. It's an incredibly late night for maybe people traveling uh, from Liverpool to the Midlands. But in any case, this is about a pick 'em right now, and I just think this is going to be a long ball fest between these two.
Yep.
I know that Everton's been building out of the back a little bit better under Moyes, but I mean, come on, like they're not like this like crazy amazing build up team now, right? Like they're better, but at their heart, they're still a very direct team. So I think the way you're going with this is probably the way to go.
Yeah, I took some under 2.25. Cunha absence is huge.
Yep.
The on-off splits for them are crazy. They have no real creator or finisher without him. Their attack last year, you can even go back and be like, the Wolves' attack wasn't too bad this year. How'd they do it? And it was like, oh, Hwang Hee-chan scored 12 league goals. That's probably
Hmm.
not happening again. And sure enough, it hasn't. So, you look around at this Wolves attack, uh, you know, in another year where we don't have these three albatrosses in the league,
Yeah.
they're down, right? And so they've had 13 goals from Cunha. Strand Larson has put up okay numbers, but he's not getting a lot of shots. And then you start to look down the list and you're like, Brian Adenori, João Gomez, Matt Doherty, Bellegarde, Gonzalo Guedes. Like, none of these guys are any good.
No.
So there's just no shot. There's no shots in the team. I
Yeah.
mean, the leading shot person I imagine that will start is going to be Strand Larson. He's getting less than two per game. So you combine that with Everton, who have scored some goals of late. Good for them. They're on the road here against another team who's happy to let Everton have the ball. So forget it. I like the under here.
Yeah, the Cunha thing is troubling because Wolves now under Pereira are just like they're just so direct. They're just sending balls up and trying to win second balls. Like it's very very old school. It's very Daichian, if that's a word.
Yeah.
Um, of how they're kind of playing. And Cunha is usually the guy that is able to win those second balls. He's also the guy that's able to drop deep and build up and receive a lot of the progressive passes. I put this in my Premier League notes article. 137 progressive passes received from Cunha, 125 from Aït-Nouri, and then there's like a 40 pass drop off from anybody else on Wolves. So to say, I mean, he's just incredibly important to them. The flip side, though, for Everton, 4 goals off of set pieces in their last 4 matches. So they've rekindled uh, their set piece prowess under David Moyes. Wolves have allowed 17 goals off of set pieces, but only off of like 10 expected, and that's kind of that. A lot of that was from the beginning of the season as well under Gary O'Neill. I think they allowed like 15 through like the first like maybe like 16 or 17 matches. So they've gotten better at defending them as of late. And even if you look at like XG per set piece, they're actually one of the better teams, which is kind of a weird thing to look at considering how many goals they've allowed off of them. Um, so for me, I mean, Everton, like, yes, they're building out of the back a little bit better, but Wolves is going to play a back five. And if they just let Everton have the ball, I don't really see how Everton's going to break them down. So yeah, I mean, if Leboff were here, he'd probably tell you about the 0-0 and how it's in play. But
Try like 6-1.
it's only 6-1. Gosh, that's so bad.
I actually haven't looked.
Um,
I made that up, but
you
I'm
made that
guessing.
up? Okay. I was like, because I sometimes with these like really really low scoring ones, I always like, oh, the 0-0's in play, and then it's like 5-1. I'm like, no, that's not
Well,
even.
it is. The market is aware that it's also
They're
in
aware
play, I
that these
guess.
teams can't score. These teams are, yeah. And really for like Wolves, like if you're gonna play this direct, like Everton's not the team that you can be successful against. Like the team you can be successful against is a team like, you know, Chelsea or teams that want to press high and aren't physical enough to win those duels, right? A
Plus
team like
770 at
Southampton or
FanDuel.
+7. All right, let's see what it is at
Under 1.5 is plus 215.
7-1 at Bet365. Plus
Yeah,
150 zero zero.
draws a good result for both teams.
Yeah, it is, honestly. And I mean, I don't know how you feel, but I think relegation is pretty much close to being done. Maybe, Wolves
Can't
is the
can't wait
last
till
team.
next year when we get to bet the same bet again.
I don't know, man. I think we might have
Yeah,
we
Leeds,
might have one.
Leeds.
I mean, Leeds is really the only team that I was like, okay, maybe they have a shot of doing it because they have the financial aspects now of being owned by the
Yes.
49ers. So that is the one thing that I'm like, okay, that's like the one hope. But like Sheffield United and Burnley and all these like, no, stop it. They're not even going to compete. All right, Chelsea and Leicester. This is Sunday. 10 a.m. Eastern time. I'm not going to say what time it is over there because I don't know. Um,
Two.
Chelsea is a very sizable favorite. I think the last I saw they were minus 500 against Leicester. Leicester's plus 850 in the draw is 7-1. Uh, I don't really have anything here, but I think you could make a case for Leicester defensively in this
Yes,
match. And I don't know if you feel the same way.
I agree. Chelsea's attack, Palmer's taking a step back. 2025, he hasn't been very good. And they have now, had fewer transition opportunities and as a result struggled. Villa gave them a few. Southampton gave them a bunch. They looked better in attack in those games, but I go back to the West Ham game where they really struggled to create chances, and I think back to you know that matchup and how it may matter here. You could even go down to Ipswich Town, away where they struggled. So if you want to take Leicester, I don't even think you take the spread though. I think you take like a flyer on plus a half. Just them to get a result out of nowhere at like 4-1. You're gonna need some luck. You need some
Mhm.
bounces to go your way, but I mean, I don't hate it. But on a slate that I love, it's not something I'm dying to bet.
Right. And I think the thing with Chelsea, and this has kind of been the story of their entire season, is like, of course, they'll be good against teams like Southampton that want to press them high, right? And they can like play some type of transition and try to build out through a team's press. When teams just sit back on them and close off the middle of the pitch, they have really no answers of how to play through. They can luck like a Palmer goal from outside the box or a lucky bounce here and there, but they have no target man in the middle, especially with Nico Jackson out. And it's like,
Yep.
if you look at some of the goals they've scored off of headers, it's like Cucurella making like late runs into the box and scoring on those. It's very, very odd and very, very weird. Like the true Chelsea, the same way as Arsenal needs, is like they need a target man in the middle that can, get on the end of a lot of these crosses because Maresca is obsessed with playing through the middle. And I think when you look at a lot of people in the tactical community, they'll try to like put such an emphasis on those midfield overloads. The problem that I have with like the midfield overload is like, okay, if it's like a 6v5 and there's no room to play through, like what's the point? Right? Like I think you see that with a lot of teams in the Premier League right now are kind of just like, hey, we can't really play through the middle, so we're just gonna try to play out wide and
We're
try to
gonna be
play through that
Bournemouth.
way. Yeah, Bournemouth, the Fulhams, the not Arsenal anymore, but those type of even Liverpool to some aspects. So
Helps when
yeah,
you
I
helps
think
when you have Mo Salah as an outlet.
yeah, exactly right. Um, so yeah, I think that you can make a case here for Leicester. The other problem with Chelsea is they don't have Lavia available. It really hurts them in defensive transitions because Caicedo is the only ball winner you really have in the middle because Fernandez wants to play such an advanced role when they want to get that five-man overload. A lot of times it's Malo Gusto that inverts into the midfield. So when you have rest defense and you have teams that want to play through the middle, it's like just Gusto and Caicedo there, which is like not the worst like ball winning midfield, but it's also not as good as Chelsea could be. And I think but the problem is I don't see how Leicester with Jamie Vardy and Jordan Ayew are really gonna like them in transition. So that's the hard part here for Leicester. So yeah, what's the 0-0? Which is probably gonna be a very stupid thing. 25-1 for the 0-0.
There you go.
Maybe. All right. Let's move on.
Fun
Tottenham
fun one here.
and
Should I go or not? I was looking at tickets. What do you think tickets are right now? Pull it up.
why wouldn't you go to Tottenham Bournemouth if you're in
That,
London?
that's what I'm talking about.
I don't know how
It's the question of whether I want to go or not.
yeah. I mean if the tickets are
Well, yeah, I
extreme
mean,
or
they're
if
not
the
too
tickets are
bad.
extremely expensive, I mean maybe just find a pub. But
Yeah.
and then you'll end up spending your money in beer anyway. All right, let's yeah, Bournemouth and Tottenham and Bournemouth. About to pick them. I like the Bournemouth team total here, I think, more than anything else. Like we said, Tottenham is going to be playing on Thursday in the Netherlands against Alkmaar. Um, Bournemouth have kind of had a little bit of a dip in form, which is, kind of be to be expected in some aspects. Like they couldn't run this good for forever, but I think this is a horrible, horrible matchup for Tottenham and like one of the worst that they can ask for. And if you don't believe me, just go watch the highlights from the previous meeting because it was really, really, really bad. And Tottenham's still going to have more than likely a Kevin Danso and Archie Gray center back pairing, which doesn't make things very much easier. But do you think Tottenham has a shot here, even though it is a pick 'em at
A
home?
shot. Yeah, we got a shot. I think it all depends on, how they're going to manage this because similar to the United conversation, Alkmaar is far more important on Thursday and then next Thursday than it is to play against Bournemouth on Sunday in the league, where the league now is kind of in a dead period because, quite frankly, like there's nothing Tottenham can do in the league anymore.
Yep,
Tickets are not expensive at all. I'm thinking I'm going to go to Spurs on Sunday.
do it.
I can sit, let's see, 20 rows off the field for 50 quid. It's not bad.
That's not bad.
I think I'm gonna have to do that. Uh, yeah, that's pretty cool. Anyway, so the point I was making is you're right about the matchup being bad, and I went back to last season to think about this because I was looking into Tottenham and Bournemouth. They played twice. The first meeting was really early in the season. This was like the beginning of Ange Ball, and then when
Yeah.
Iriola hadn't really figured it out yet and what they wanted to be. Second meeting, it was a crazy 3-1 Spurs win. Bournemouth did create 1.7 expected goals. They scored pretty late on. I remember that game was it was like 1-0 going in like the 80th minute. I had the under and we got smoked. It was right before New Year's. But you were able to see even in that game the issues that Tottenham have defending wide, and it doesn't really matter who plays fullback for Spurs. That's going to be an issue. It's just the way that the Ange ball is structured, the constant control at the middle that's desired, and in a lot of ways, Iraola's tactics are an evolution of countering to what Ange and what these other Premier League teams like Chelsea and Spurs are doing. So I agree with you that it's a pretty good matchup for them. Again, it all really comes down to the lineup though, because if Romero and Van de Ven for some reason play this game instead of Thursday, we don't have lineups yet, although we should by now. Uh, then that could change the calculus a bit on how good Spurs are. And I mean, like full strength Spurs should not be a pick 'em at home against Bournemouth. I know that the XG would say that for the season would say that otherwise,
Yeah.
but like
Yeah, we'll see. If they both play, I mean, that definitely changes my opinion here because it gives like the horrible part of the matchup, right, is like Tottenham trying to build out of the back and trying to play
yeah,
through Bournemouth's press, which is, if you watch Tottenham, and I'm sure you've seen this as well, they have like one very similar build-up pattern that they do out wide that, is pretty reliant on them just like winning 1v1 where they'll play it out wide. It's usually Spence. It's been Spence for a while playing left back. He'll play a little bit higher. The winger will kind of drop deep a little bit, and they'll just play in a quick, ball out wide and just play like a bounce pass to Bergvall and have him like running forward, right? The two teams that like came to mind to me when I was just like, okay, when did they really struggle trying to do that pattern like over and over again? It was against Arsenal and it was against Liverpool, were the two teams that really just like pinned them into the corner and gave them no way of getting out other than just sending the ball deep. Uh, 40 danger zone losses against Arsenal. I don't know the number against Liverpool, but if you go look at where they happened, it's all down the left side of the pitch. And Bournemouth's press, like we've been saying a lot of times, is just it's designed to go from a zonal to man to man and pin you to one side of the pitch. So your only options are really to play a dangerous ball back centrally, which they're reliant on their center backs to be able to come up and win those. Zabrani being out obviously hurts since he's suspended for this match for Bournemouth, or playing a switch ball to the other side. Like neither of those really options are what Tottenham is designed to do. So last time, 36 danger zone losses, and I mean Bournemouth created numerous chances off of those high turnovers as well. Tottenham struggles defending crosses. Previous meeting, Bournemouth completed 8 crosses into the penalty area. For context, for people who don't know, Premier League team averages, like a good Premier League team will average about 2 crosses per 90 into the penalty area. So like 8 is just like an absurd number. So I think you're going to see, Bournemouth likes to get down the left side of the pitch. 43% of their attacks come down with Semenyo and Kirkez, usually you making those under or overlapping runs, which, was very successful in the previous meeting. So, yeah, 3.7 expected goals for Bournemouth in the previous meeting. So I like them. And what's funny is I'm making the same bet because I'm pretty sure I had Bournemouth team total over 1.5 in the previous meeting, and they won 1-0. It was just like one of those where I was like, okay, well, I got a little bit unlucky there, but yeah, I'm gonna just play the same one, minus 130, Bournemouth team total. Don't really want to deal with their defense with Zabrani being out, and I think there are aspects of Tottenham if they decide to, maybe they could play through them. But the other part of it is Anthony is like, okay, if you want to play direct, if you have to play direct and you have to play over the top, both Richarlison and Solanke are out, so you don't really have a target man who you can get who can win second balls. Matthias Tell is a great striker, but I don't know if he's really winning a lot of those
Yeah,
balls that
no,
are
not at
going
all.
up to him. So that I guess is the problem that you run into with Tottenham right now. So yeah, I think you should go to the match though. It'd be a really good one.
I just bought my ticket. I'm in.
Good, good. All right, final match Monday. Maybe
Monday
you'll go to
Night
this. Maybe
Football.
you'll go to this one again because it's in London.
I cannot do this one, unfortunately.
Oh,
I'm gonna have to pod on Monday nights, so I'm out
oh
for that one.
no. Okay, well Monday
I made it
night
to the London Stadium. It was okay.
it was
Not a great
okay.
match, but
Yeah.
they won.
Uh, West Ham and Newcastle. Uh, West Ham is about plus 220. Newcastle is plus 120, and the draw is, hang on, I'm looking it up right now. The draw is plus 240. I don't
Under
really
got
have
bet here
anything
pretty
here.
heavily.
What's that?
It was under 3. I kind of liked under 3, but now it's like you can't really get 3 without laying heavy juice. And
Yeah.
I'm kind of, no Gordon here. West Ham's defense is so much better
Hmm.
than it was under Lopetegui. It's noticeable. I was talking actually was kind of I went by myself, so I was talking to some West Ham fans in my little section about it, and they were very impressed by the organization and it was evident. I mean, Leicester barely got a sniff, and I know it's Leicester, but if you look back at like West Ham's games against Chelsea, against Brentford, even though they lost, the attack is limited, but the defense is clearly improving. And yeah, the the attack is especially now that Paqueta's cooked, like it's just not very good. But
Yeah.
yeah, they get some goals from random places at times.
Yeah.
But I like the under here if I have to bet anything.
Yeah, I agree. So last 6 matches, West Ham has not conceded a big scoring chance, which is like
There you go.
if you'd have told me that
Peak
under if you'd have told me that like, over the last year and a half, I would have been like, that's not even possible.
peak
I think
Potter
the
baby.
switch to the 5-3-2 has really helped them, play a back five, not get overloaded, play more compact and just kind of try to defend crosses, which is good. And I think that's what you're gonna see here, right? Is like, with Newcastle, they're, Gordon, like I said, Gordon is out or like you said, excuse me, Gordon is out. And one thing I was looking up because when you talk about teams that struggle, breaking down low blocks, it's a couple different aspects, right? Because most teams play very compact, it kind of comes down to, okay, can your wingers take fullbacks on, get to the byline, and create a chance via cross, right? Newcastle's not really doing that. They're kind of relying on their fullbacks to make those overlapping runs to send crosses into the box. Um, Gordon and Jacob Murphy are averaging 2.6 successful take-ons per 90. And for context, Kudus is averaging 3.2 himself. So, like, their wingers are just they're not able to consistently beat the opposing fullbacks off the dribble. And it sounds really simple, but for West Ham to be successful defensively in this match, they just got to keep Newcastle out of transition. Like it's if you keep them out of transition, I don't think Newcastle's really going to be able to break them down unless they, fluke a cross in there or they hit something from outside the box. Because they've been a lot better under Graham Potter. They've been good in that low defensive block, and Newcastle is 16th in crosses completed in the penalty area. So they're not really a good crossing team. So, but of course, what's been the problem for West Ham most of the season? It's like defending in transition. They have no ball winning in the midfield. So, these last few matches, they've been able to play a mid block. They've been able to keep teams out of transition, and it's really helped them. So, if you can keep Newcastle from counterattacking you, you're probably going to be pretty successful in this match, which I think they'll be able to do. So,
Yeah,
all
you got
right.
any thoughts on the? Have you looked at the EFL Cup yet? Because I just pulled it up. I was curious. Next weekend, Liverpool's
Um,
minus 190. Sure,
uh,
that's high,
Liverpool is minus 190 against Newcastle, who will be without Anthony Gordon, correct?
but Isak should be. Isak didn't play in the match they played last week. He'll be back. Plus, Liverpool's on a short turnaround. They have the Champions
Yeah.
League second leg Tuesday. Although I guess it's only 1 day difference.
I'll do a
Um,
I'll do a
and they're going.
live.
Liverpool's traveling to Paris.
Yep.
No, no, they're home. Sorry.
They're home against Paris.
Yep.
Yeah. Let me do a live projection reveal here real quick. Let me just take the home field advantage off and I'll do a live projection reveal right now.
You're going to be at like Liverpool minus 125.
Probably. All
It's
right.
not really feasible to make them a full goal better on a neutral field if Alexander Isak is playing, which he should.
Mm, I have Liverpool minus 184. Wow.
Whoa.
Whoa. Whoa. So I'm right in
All right,
line.
so you're not. I guess you're not on Newcastle.
I guess I'm not on Newcastle
I
then.
will almost certainly be on Newcastle in
Okay.
the cup final.
Yeah, that's fine. Um,
Plus
yeah.
one, yeah,
I mean, I know Ishak wasn't playing in the previous one, but Newcastle
got cooked.
got cooked, got
But
killed in
again, Anfield
transition.
versus Wembley is a big
Yeah, it
difference.
is. I agree. It'll be a fun match though, for sure.
Yeah,
All right, so let's just take a quick jaunt around Europe. Let's start with the Bundesliga. I agree with your pick. I just didn't want to take steal your fire, but you can go ahead and tell us why Freiburg
I'm
is.
absolutely baffled by the pricing on
I am
Freiburg
too.
this
I don't
year.
understand it.
I understand that like Leipzig and Dortmund have a little bit of gravity to their numbers because of who they are, but I mean we can just say that like Mainz and Freiburg are better teams
They are.
and are and so like last week it was what Mainz was a plus a half at Leipzig. Okay,
Hmm.
got the better team there. They won that match. They were comfortably better than Leipzig, even after Leipzig hit the they scored in the first minute and like oh shit. After that, it was you know Mainz were better. Uh, so now we fast forward and I get Freiburg at home and they're a pick 'em. This Leipzig team is such a dead man walking, and we like Rosa, but their season's lost. Like there's nothing to really go for here. And Freiburg at home, always good. Leipzig away from home, horrendous attack this season. Like they're almost at like one expected goal per 90 at home this year.
Hmm.
So I don't get this line. Sometimes we're just on teams a lot. Freiburg, I think I bet them more than anybody in Germany this year.
Hmm.
Freiburg and Gladbach, and I like
Yep.
Freiburg this weekend. And I don't like Gladbach, but it should be a good match on Friday.
Yeah. I mean, the story with Leipzig this season is just they're trying to become a team that can control more possession and not be just this like, only team that can hit you in transition and stuff like that. Turn the ball
It doesn't.
over.
It's weird too because that was not what
Yeah.
Rosa's Gladbach wasn't that good with. Like they were good at winning ball midfield, three runners off, hit and
Yeah.
transition
And now
score.
they're just not doing
Yeah.
that. They're just like
Mhm.
trying to be a more possession dominant team. And I don't really know why. How much longer before until Jurgen Klopp comes down from the director's box at Red Bull and takes over on the sidelines? What, 3 months?
Nah, I mean,
The
if you're
new
Klopp,
year?
what's the point?
There's no point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like Freiburg as well. I like St. Pauli against plus a half against Wolfsburg. Um, Ralph Hasenhutl's Wolfsburg has just been a thorn in my side all season long. A team that has been drastically overperforming their expected metrics and been just doing it, essentially week after week. Some of the underlying performances have gotten better. They had good performances against Stuttgart and against Bochum, but they got pretty well handled against Werder Bremen over the weekend. They allowed close to two expected goals against them. St. Pauli, actually a pretty decent pressing team. I know they've had some bad results recently. They are kind of struggling for chance creation, but I think the price is just maybe a little too high here on Wolfsburg. St. Pauli fifth in the Bundesliga in non-penalty expected goals allowed, third and final third to box entry conversion rate. A pretty decent mid-block team, and they are turning opponents over high in some dangerous areas as well at the fourth highest rate. So decent, I think a decent spot here for St. Pauli. La Liga. Uh, You like Real
I'm on
Betis?
Betis. Yeah, I mean Palmas.
They're not good.
Some of these low level La Liga teams when they have to travel. Like I don't know that the market can price them low enough.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of the case with Palmas this year. And they actually don't have terrible results, but the performances have been ridiculous.
Hmm.
They have created 10 expected goals in 13 away games.
Hmm.
They've given up 29.
Yep.
It, you know, and they might stay in the league. So think about that for a second.
I
I mean,
know.
their home. We've joked about their home form. Home form's been fine, but yeah, I mean, and they go on the road to Betis. Betis has got actual chance creation numbers that have been ticking up, and not just because Anthony bangs some goals in here and there, but the
Yep.
underrated part of Betis right now is Johnny Cardoso in the midfield. He's been
Hmm.
really, really good, sneaky good. Somebody that I hope gets some real minutes for the U.S. men's team next week when they play Panama, which should be fun as well. So yeah, I mean, I'm looking at. I guess it's 2 weeks from now. 2 weeks from now when they play Panama. So I think Betis at home should be good, and -1.5 is like plus money. And trying to get margin in La Liga with these just
Yeah.
okay teams is never fun. But that line makes no sense to me. So
Yeah. I like Atletico, even money against on the road against Getafe. Um,
tough spot, man.
Tough. It
Tough
is a
spot.
tough spot, but I also
You're probably
I
getting a discount
for
because of it,
I
though.
gotta I very weirdly watched. I don't know, like some of the matches I actually watched, just like whenever I have availability to watch them. I watched Atletico play Getafe in the Copa del Rey, and they just completely dominated them. Like it was night and day. They were winning duels, they were winning crosses, they were like doing all the things to Getafe that Getafe does to other teams, all these physicality things, you know? So I watched that and I came away and I'm just like, man, not only is Atletico good, but they're actually physical enough to beat these type of teams. And I understand it's a tough spot, but we're in a title race right now where every match is important. So I don't think you're going to see any rotation from Atletico, and I think you're going to see them take this match very, very seriously. I know they got Real Madrid and Barcelona coming up in the next two matches, but tough
What a
spot.
week.
But I think a discounted price here on Atletico because of the spot. I have them at -127, so even money against Getafe. I kind of like them.
Yeah.
Serie A, I kind of like Fiorentina +1 against Napoli. Moises Kean is out. Obviously, their best striker, but Albert Gudmundsson is back from injury. He's been a lot better.
That line is a joke.
It is. It's way, way too high for Napoli
Napoli
right now.
cannot score.
They cannot score. No, it's a problem. I mean, they had a good run for a while, and like you said, Kvaratskhelia
He's
was a big
huge.
part of
Yeah.
that. He's huge because not only I understand like when people like look at his numbers, you'll say, oh, like for example, okay, Kvaratskhelia this season had scored 5 goals and was only like he was a point 0.6 xG plus XA per 90, right?
It's pretty good.
It's pretty good. Then you have Lukaku, who has been the main striker, 0.44. After
His
that,
shots are way down too. I mean, like this kind of does look like the end for Rom, and we know we love Big Rom.
oh, we do, yeah.
His shot numbers are through the floor. It's bad this year. I
Yeah.
know the XG has held up. Uh, he's still scoring at a decent rate, but the shots are starting to go, and that's part of that could maybe be this Conte team, right?
Yeah.
But I'm looking at it now, right? So I mean, and he's been in Serie A a long time, so you can kind of track this. He was at 2.8 per 90 in 2020 at Inter, 2.8 again, 2.4 for a brief period when he was at Chelsea. He had that little run at Chelsea in 2022. Then he came back to Italy to Inter, 2.7, then 2.2 last year, and now at Napoli he's down to 1.8 per 90. It's just like,
Mm.
all right, you're gonna get us one big shot a game.
Yeah.
You better score it, right? And so I
Right.
think this Napoli team is maybe the most overrated team in Italy right now.
Yep.
And I know they had a great performance against Inter.
Yep.
But as a favorite, I think they're a flawed team. What's
Yeah.
the total? It's not 2.5, is it?
It is. Let me
If it's
look.
2.5, that would be hilarious. But I don't
I
think it
don't
will
think.
be.
Yeah. Keane is out, which obviously hurts.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if Fiorentina
Fiorentina.
scores either.
Yeah, but one's way too high. It is 2.5 plus 110 unders minus 138 at Bet365.
Maybe that's better than
Close.
+1. Both of those are good, I
Close.
think. They're
Both
correlated,
those.
obviously.
Yeah. All right, so that will do it for this portion. Question from the chat. You got any Europa League plays today, Anthony?
I was waiting on some lineup stuff. I forgot to log Ajax, and that moved. I would not bet Ajax anymore. Somebody asked earlier about the whole field. Uh, while I procrastinate and look at the lines and the lineups right now for the early window here, uh, you could sell me on Bodo at home at +130. I think that's a little cheap. I like them at home a lot usually. Might even come back and play Olympiacos next week, but yeah, Bodo at home would probably be the only thing I'd bet at the current prices. I saw that you played some. What was it, Bilbao?
Yeah.
I don't know about this Roma thing. It's
I
they've been
I
really
I
good the last month, but I don't really know how much I believe. Like the problem is like Roma wasn't that bad as the results were, and now that they're playing quote unquote better, and I'm not sure they're that much better either.
they're not.
So I kind of
They've had six penalties
exactly, yeah, it's
since
doing
Ranieri took
a
over.
lot of the work, a lot of the work. But then remember the same thing happened last year too when they changed
Yep.
managers and they
Yep.
went to De Rossi, and then they became these scoring gods, and it
Yep.
kind of lasted the rest of the season,
Yep.
even though the numbers said that it didn't work. So I don't know what the hell is happening to Roma. I think that's a fascinating team. But yeah, Bodo's the only team I bet at the current numbers. Probably throw a couple bucks on them, but nothing I love today. Uh,
Yeah. I
Lazio got bet
was
out, so I'm passing there. And
I'm on a very juiced under in Sociedad and United, which
should be good. I was looking that was the lineup I was looking for.
yeah.
That one, and then obviously Spurs.
Sociedad is averaging 1.05 non-penalty XG in La Liga, which is horrible. Yeah, we have I
Bruno's
said I was
in.
looking at potentially with the lines coming down now, but I was potentially looking at playing Rangers +1 against Fenerbahce. I think that one might be a little bit high, but Rangers is under new manager, Barry Ferguson. Um, so yeah.
One thing, lineups for United: Hoyland, Zirkzee, Garnacho, Fernandez, Dorgu, Casemiro, Dallo. So no surprises. Mazraoui, Delit, Euro. Yeah, pretty much what we expected.
Yeah.
And Kubo, Oyarzabal, and that's all we expected there. And then Tottenham has not put out a lineup yet. That can't be right. Plot Mob is lying to me.
Hmm.
Tottenham.
I mean, it's about the time they should be.
No, it's in. Spence, Gray, Danso, Udagi, Bergwall, Bentancur, Madison, Johnson, Telson. So no surprise there. Uh, yeah, Spurs have been at a discount here, but I don't really like them as road chalk. I think that they'll be happy with a
Yeah.
draw there. Coming home next week. So yeah, nothing I love in Europa League this week. I like the last week's a lot better, or 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. I
And
guess
then
I would bet
Champions League, you got any takes? You gonna bet PSV next week like everybody else who's sharp?
Yeah, the story is everybody was betting unders in the first legs, and we got a ton of goals with not a lot of expected goals behind them,
Yes.
which just happens from time to time. Uh, yeah, I don't really have any takes right now. I think Liverpool. I think you could make a case for PSG, even though I don't project any value on it particularly against Liverpool. I think I have Liverpool at minus 104 if like on a uh, neutral field right there.
Yeah, I wish it
Yeah.
was a little less lopsided. I would have
Oh,
loved.
Bruges +1. That'll be my
Yeah,
one.
I bet them too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I bet Bruges and I bet PSV. PSV moved heavy. I mean, the thing is with FanDuel, and I love FanDuel, but if you pay attention, um, as soon as they have to put out their own openers, they kind of get exposed a little
Hmm.
because they put out like Arsenal was minus 450,
Oh
which is
gosh.
probably which is like if I know they quote unquote dominated PSV, they scored 7 goals. Um, if you flipped home field, they'd be like minus 300, and then maybe you give them like a 50 to 70 cent bump for how well they played. But now they're up 6. So how in the hell was that right? And then Bruges got Villa open minus 210. Like I didn't think they were better than Bruges in the game. They
They
got the late
weren't.
penalty, the late own goal, but it was an even game. So yeah, I'm with you on Bruges. I'm with you on I don't know if you're on PSV, but PSV's there. And then
I don't know. I don't bet against my team. Feyenoord got dominated,
Leverkusen's
but
a home dog. That is such a good spot. I'll be on Leverkusen next week. I know I lost with them yesterday, but I'm on them
yeah,
next week.
I think you could. I know they got completely dominated, but I think you can make a case for Feyenoord plus 1.5 as well, just because of the 2 goal advantage for Inter. Um, I don't
Oh
know.
wow,
That seems,
Liverpool is what?
yeah,
Plus 120 now?
yeah. I
Hmm.
bet you'll see Liverpool venture more towards being a pick 'em.
If they're like plus 140, I'm gonna take them, I think.
Yeah,
And
Benfica.
that's the thing, right? Like the market, people, it's very easy to say, "Oh, what happened in the first leg? Let me play against it, or let me play with it," right? But the
Yeah,
market tends to overmove in these situations. Um,
yeah,
like I love like Benfica plus 1.5. It's gonna be
yeah.
really. What's
It'll
the odds on
probably
that?
be
Plus minus 120 on Benfica plus. Yeah, I'm gonna be on a lot of ugly dogs next week, and they're gonna get
yep. That's
pasted.
basically how it's gonna go. Um,
League
Romero and
One, I
Vicky
have not bet
Vandeven
in a
are
month, so I do not have
yeah.
anything on that. Sorry.
Romero and Vicky Vandeven are on the bench.
Yep.
Huh. Interesting.
I think what may happen is they may like play a half Sunday.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, you get 5 subs, right? So that kind of gives you a
Yeah.
lot of leeway when you're trying to nurse guys back in. So
It's
I
just
don't
like
know. We'll see.
every time they try to put him back in, they just get
They
injured.
got
So
hurt
it's like
again.
it's a
Yeah, it's
very
brutal.
delicate situation. Um,
Ajax Frankfurt over. I
I don't know
mean,
what. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look into why I have 4.
we we think Ajax is playing all their guys, right? Because I know they were kind of only half taking seriously the last playoff round, but they
Hmm.
almost got knocked out because of it. But I mean, I expect them to be going all in here now because they could win this.
Yeah, Frankfurt's matches in the Bundesliga have not like ever since Marmoush left. It's not like they've completely fallen off a cliff in terms of chance creation. I mean,
No,
the they've had even when they played like Holstein Kiel and Gladbach and Hoffenheim and all these situations where uh they didn't have Marmoush, there's still like a ton of goals being scored. I mean, they gave up 4 apiece to Bayern and Leverkusen, right? And Ajax has been very, very good under Faioli, the De Zerbi
Farioli.
disciple, the
Hmm.
Faioli, yeah, the De Zerbi
Yeah,
disciple who was coaching Nice last year.
yeah. I
Um,
bet some Ajax. I think I mentioned it on our pod. I think I mentioned it. People asked me. I did an Instagram AMA, and somebody asked me who I'm betting. I took some Ajax 20 to 1. I don't know what they're trading at now. I don't even think they'll get past Spurs, but they. I mean, Tottenham, even fully healthy, can still lose to anybody the way they play. So,
yeah.
yeah, Europa League
Yep.
futures are up right now. Ajax 16 to 1. I think they're going to beat Frankfurt, so I don't mind that.
Yeah.
Um,
I will if I have time, I may wait until the quarterfinals, but I am going to get some Europa League simulations up there. Just been trying to, focus on other things, the matches that are at hand rather than just simulating the secondary league that most people don't really care about. Um, I know a lot of
yeah,
people do, but yeah, I will try to get
it's
those
interesting.
simulations out. I'm trying to get some
You
FA
bet
Cup.
you bet Inter to win the Champions League, right?
I did at 12 to 1. Yeah.
Mm,
I finally did.
I don't know what to, I
I
don't
had
know
them
what
as
to
a second.
do.
I had them as a second favorite, honestly, behind Liverpool,
I
which
don't
I
know
thought
what
was
to do
kind of.
with Bayern. I'm struggling with Bayern this year.
Yeah.
I've been kind of fraud watching them for a month, and they destroyed me yesterday. So now I'm a little
Were they really
uncertain.
that
But
good though?
yesterday I didn't really catch the game.
I don't think they were. I mean, if you like,
The
got a
XG says they were.
great.
I got to rewatch some
I
of
mean,
it.
he actually says it is, but hang on, let me look it up really quick because they had a penalty like late. Um, Basically, Kane got tackled in the box. Like they got an opening goal, like great header by Kane and everything like that. In the end, it says 3. There's a penalty in there, and I'm pretty sure the Musiala goal. Yep. The Musiala goal was it was a cross that was going nowhere, and the keeper it just went through the keeper's hands and fell right to him, and he just tapped it in. So
Mm.
there's your two biggest chances. That's 1 point. That's like almost like 1.5 of the XG they created was just like the goalkeeper dropping the ball on a penalty. So uh, it wasn't necessarily like, oh my gosh, they dominated. Now Leverkusen took what, 3 shots in the match. So uh, in most aspects, I would say Bayern were pretty dominant in controlling things, but I'm not sure they uh, were that good offensively comparatively, and maybe to what the XG says.
Yeah, I mean Patrick Schick doesn't come on till the 81st minute.
Yeah.
I guess that was weird, but yeah, I'll be on Leverkusen next week again,
Okay.
and I'll hate it. But
All right. That will do it for this. We've gone long enough. It's been an hour and 40 minutes. So thank you,
yeah,
Anthony, for taking the time to do this. This is a lot of fun. We'll have to do it again very soon, maybe before the Champions League uh, quarterfinals or something like
yeah, I
that.
could be down. I gotta look at my schedule, but
Yeah.
I'm pretty
Well,
open to hop on and do this whenever. So
yep. So we'll figure that out. Thank you everybody for tuning in. And yeah, good and enjoy the Europa League today and enjoy the Premier League this weekend. We'll see you all next time. All right, we're off.
when is the
All right.
Champions League quarterfinals? April 8th. Wow.